Number 11. Now, this is a challenging question in terms of using this approach, and I will say that, like, not every question for which you can use this approach is a question that you must use this approach. But I mean, to start with, you could get rid of some answer choices fairly quickly. Look, we go backwards from the last sentence. The last sentence doesn't tell us much here. It just tells us that, like, S is standard, C is collectors, and they're not going to be that mean about what those things mean. That makes sense. S is standard, C is collectors. And, my normal move is write down just something when I read it so that I don't have to review. Standard, collectors. The company receives an order for 75 copies of the game. Okay, so that means something like I could make like this like 65 and this 10 so that they add up to 75. So just based on that, I can cross off these two. Because 65 minus 10 is not 75. So that gets rid of two answer choices really quickly, which is fantastic. Now I'm down to these two answers because, 75 minus 65 is equal to 10 in both cases. So now I'll keep reading backwards. And now what you'll notice is I'm using these equations sort of separately because it's a little bit easier to do the work. Now, the only difference between these two answer choices is what happens here with these coefficients. The numbers that get multiplied by the variables are called coefficients. So if we go back to the previous sentence, because we've already read this sentence, we got this part. And the total volume, the 1870, it's the same in both answers. So we're going to the previous sentence. The standard edition has a volume of 20. Okay. That means the standard goes with 20, answer choice A. But if you wanted to be kind of snarky about it for a second, you have a calculator. You could say like, okay, well, let's pretend that we only get like, let's say that we only get like one copy of C. So then the rest of this volume has to be made up of 20 times S. I don't know if that's really that helpful. I would say that picking numbers here is a good way to get down to two answer choices quickly and not make a silly mistake with these two. And I think it's fairly clear what's going on with these coefficients. The 20 goes with the standard, and the collectors is 30. So I think, the big thing about this question is breaking it into small pieces and dealing with one piece at a time, which is oftentimes the case on these multifaceted questions. So that's number 11.